Now, if you're wondering why this camera is crooked, it is crooked to illustrate the worldview and the hypocrisies of a lot of atheists, particularly the strong atheists and the anti-theists. Another one of their hypocrisies is to question God on his sovereignty. For those of you who do not know what the term means, in God's case, since he is maker of the heavens and the earth, for God to be sovereign is to refer to his, not only his power over all that he has made, but his right to exercise that power absolutely and as he so chooses over his creation. All that being said, let's look at what man does, since it is men, human beings, whether that be male or female, that make up the antitheist and strong atheist population, as well as the rest of de facto mankind, who stand in accusation of God when he exercises his power, his sovereignty over his creation. Well, let's understand something about God first. The scripture tells us, Proverbs 16:4, that the Lord made all things for his good pleasure. The Lord made everything for his good pleasure, even the wicked for the day of evil or the day of disaster. Otherwise, the scripture says, in praise of the Lord, you, O God, have created all things, and for your good pleasure they are and were made. I believe that's Revelation 4:11. So God made everything that he made for his good pleasure. Everything derivative of God only came into existence because God willed it to be so, and he willed it to be so for his own purpose, to accomplish his own desires. That's the only reason we're here, as part of that creation. But man says, no, that's wrong. Why should God have right to rule over us just because he created us? Although to me, this is a stupid question, because in God we live, move, and have our being. Why would we have the right to control ourselves and not God have right over us? I mean, to take away God, or to try to undermine that inherent right to rule and have authority on God's part, takes away the validity of any lesser way we can come to validating anyone's sense of authority or right to rule over anything or govern anything, because nothing else will reach to even equal that standard, that bar of God's creatorship. But let's look at, as I said, let's look at what man does. I asked, I think it was Robbie Romance in a hangout a couple of weeks ago. Well, Robbie, have you ever fantasized about a woman? Have you ever, lusted after a woman in your heart? After some prodding, he acknowledged, yes, sure he has. And I said, when you fantasize about a woman, or that woman, did you ask that object in your mind, the woman in your mind, do you give them even a choice to resist in your mind what it is you want them to do in your mind? After some pushing and prodding, he acknowledged no. Why? Because in his mind, he created that object, that woman in his fantasy, in his imagination. He created them to serve his pleasure, to serve his will, to accomplish what he wants that image to do. Therefore, he was exercising sovereignty in the platform of his mind, where the principle that governs there is his will be done. And we people do such things every day in the platform of our mind because it's under our total and complete jurisdiction. And so we think we don't have to answer to anybody about it, although we rarely will have to answer to God. So it is, how can we, with any integrity, question God on what he does with what he made on his platform, which is this thing that we call life existential? Oh, hypocrites. You are made in the image of God. Whenever you try to accuse God of something, understand that being made in his image in an unperfect and perverted way, we are all bound to try to copy his ways. So when you turn the sword of judgment against God, you're really turning it back on yourself. Take heed.